So now, switching gears for a little bit, I want to talk about the Odum Institute for Research in Social Sciences and its director, Professor Tom Carsey. And as before, I'll say a little bit about each in turn. First, just a word about social science, what it is. In its broadest sense, it's the study of society and the manner in which people behave and influence the world around us. It's closely linked to behavioral science, as each is interested in systematic processes of human behavior. The National Science Foundation groups social and behavioral sciences together in its organization. It's called Social, Behavioral, and Economic Sciences Directorate, or SBE Sciences. The Odum Institute supports all of these. I want to tell you just a little bit about the social and behavioral sciences at UNC-Chapel Hill, because you might not know. In a word, they are awesome. And surprisingly, not many people seem to know this, so I'm taking the opportunity to tell you. There are many measures of this. I'm just going to talk about two. First, we can look at the rankings of some of our key departments. These are reputational rankings based on peer assessment surveys as published in the U.S. News and World Report. In these, sociology ranks 6, along with Harvard and the University of Chicago. History ranks 11, along with Cornell and Johns Hopkins. Psychology ranks 12, along with Penn. And political science ranks 13, along with Wash U in St. Louis. I don't know, but I might mention that 3 out of the 4 of those are higher ranked than Duke. Just saying. But second, if you prefer harder data, let's consider external funding. UNC as a whole, as you know, ranks 9th nationally in terms of federal support and 11th in total support in the most recently reported data by the National Science Foundation. If we look at the disciplinary areas separately, each one and its national ranking, the social and behavioral sciences here at Carolina ranks 2nd nationally. University of Michigan ranks 1st. And why is this? It's a credit to all of those social and behavioral sciences department. It's also actually a credit to the centers and institutes because they all collaborate together to make that happen. Looking at Carolina's portfolio, I'm sure you would expect that funding in the life sciences is our largest component, by far. But what you might not know is that the social and behavioral sciences come in 2nd at $129 million in the most recent report. So social and behavioral sciences here are really, really strong. And why is that? Well, I have one answer for you, and it's the Odum Institute. So let me say a few words about its director. Dr. Tom Carsey is a distinguished professor of political science. He is the current president of the Southern Political Science Association, and he recently completed a term as editor of State Politics and Policy Quarterly, one of the official journals of the American Political Science Association. His interests center on representation in national and state politics, and also on research methods, which makes him perfect to serve in the role that he does.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Chancellor Folt and the board for inviting us to talk with you today. I feel like I should have brought my children with me today. I'm part of something awesome. I'm distinguished. I don't hear this at home at all. So if you guys are taping this would be great. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. I hope you've gotten these slides in advance, but we'll talk through them as we work along. My name is Tom Carsey. I have the good fortune of being the director of the Odum Institute for Research in Social Science here at UNC. The Odum Institute is a little bit different than the typical research institute on campus in the sense that our core mission is really to provide support and infrastructure, help provide a foundation for the research that others might be doing, right? Whether it's individual faculty members, teams of faculty, research happening in other centers and institutes on campus or elsewhere in the system, in the country, or in the world. We're 90 years old. We celebrated our 90th anniversary last year, so not quite as old as the book that was brought in, but we're the oldest center or institute of any kind at UNC, the oldest social science center anywhere in the country, we think in the world. And that gives us a perspective, that gives us a history of providing a core support for social science research here on campus. We at Odum define social science very broadly, so we reach very aggressively outside of the traditional departments of social science here in the college, down to the medical school, School of Public Health, journalism, School of Dentistry, you name it, anywhere on campus, we've got our fingers in the pot trying to help people do their work. We think any research that involves humans is potentially social science research. We take a very interdisciplinary approach to this, which, as Rick mentioned, makes serving as a center and institute an ideal way for us to be structured. Barbara told us a little bit about what social science is and what it means. We at the Odum Institute very much reflect this recent quote from an editorial in Nature that says, if you want science to deliver for society, you need to support the capacity to understand that society. That's exactly what we do. We provide capacity, support capacity to help the scholars at UNC understand the way society operates. In fact, I might be so bold as to suggest this quote might replace, if you want science to deliver for society, with if you want a university to deliver for society, you need to support the capacity to understand that society to affect positive change. Like Rick, I don't have time to tell you everything about what we're doing in the Odum Institute, and so I'm going to highlight a few examples and a few of our staff members I brought a student with along as real live living, breathing proof that we have an impact on people's lives. But I'd love to entertain any questions you have, or like Rick said, please come and visit us. You don't have to go all the way down to the coast to see us. You have to go all the way over to the second floor of Davis Library to see us. Maybe not quite as dramatic, but if I can throw some sand around, if it will help. Let me introduce John Crabtree to you. John Crabtree has been in the Odum Institute for more than 20 years. John runs our world-class data archive and also our IT support within the data archive. Critical to what we do in the Odum Institute and our support for data and data management is our work in partnering with our colleagues at Harvard University on the development and expansion and utilization of a tool called the Dataverse. So not the universe, just the Dataverse. This is a software platform designed to make it easy and flexible for researchers to manage their research data, more importantly, to share their research data with others so that other scholars can find what people have done and utilize it. This is fundamentally important as funding agencies now require effective data management plans as part of grant applications, but it's also just the right way to do science. Right? Science succeeds when it's open, when it's transparent, when it shares the results of what it's done as effectively as it can, and a robust data archive is fundamental to that. I've highlighted a couple of projects where we're leveraging the Dataverse here on campus. You might know the Measure Evaluation Project, a funded project over in the Carolina Population Center, the single largest grant award received by UNC. The last renewal was $180 million, I think.
And that was $1 million less than 181, which is one before that.
Oh, so 181, 180, tomatoes. A million here, a million there. Sooner or later, it starts adding up. This project, is a major project on campus that's doing real important, both scientific and impactful research. We now provide core data management support for the Measure project through the Dataverse tool. We're also now talking with them about expanding that support in their data collection and data analysis efforts, providing training to folks who are doing this work. I did some training actually last semester for them. Delivered, not took. Another project that I'll highlight as another example of what we're doing is down in the School of Dentistry, the OPERA project. This is a project that studies pain management around the jaw and other kinds of related projects. Dr. Gary Slade down there has been collecting data for several years, has patient data but also genetic markers data about these patients and multiple years of this, and they were getting buried in trying to manage and organize their own research data for their own research team. They called John, and his team went down, built and executed a data management plan for them. We're continuing to work with them to organize and protect this very important, sensitive, secure research data that's at the core of another multi-million-dollar grant proposal. Along with research, we also support the teaching mission effectively at the university. This is probably how most people on campus would encounter us. We offer about 90 short courses and workshops every academic year. We also do a lot of one-on-one and small group counseling and consulting. We quite literally see several thousand unique individuals every year in our short courses and our consulting. Faculty, graduate students, undergraduate students. I'm highlighting Teresa Edwards here. Teresa leads our survey research efforts within the Odum Institute, which includes a significant training program, and in particular directs a graduate certificate program in survey research. This includes semester-long courses, some workshops and short courses, an applied practicum, all designed to help students develop the skills and expertise in survey research methods. Recievers of this certificate have been very well received in the job market. It's been a very effective program for us. And in particular, you might be interested to know that this is a program that's operated jointly with RTI International. Right? So this is a great example of a public-private partnership in pushing this program forward and serving the students here at North Carolina. Two other summer training programs that are mentioned here on the slide. Data Matters. This is a week-long summer intensive set of courses on data science, big data, data mining, all those kinds of things. We partner with RENCI and the National Consortium for Data Science on that. We also partner with another company in the Triangle, Research Talk Incorporated, which specializes in qualitative research methods. We partner with them in offering a summer intensive training program in qualitative research methods. We've been doing that effectively for several years. So several public-private partnerships a part of what we're doing. Of course, any public university, any agency, unit at a public university has to have a service component, and we rightly believe in that. Maybe the best example, a recent example for us, and I know Chancellor Folt is aware of some of this, is the work that one of our analysts, Chris Wiesen, has done with the Office of Admissions. Chris is a PhD in psychology and a statistician, works for us in the Odum Institute. He's done several projects with the UNC Admissions Office, looking at several elements of the formulas they use to forecast success for prospective incoming students. The first study I'm highlighting there is work that Chris done, really groundbreaking research. No one had ever really done this before, to try to evaluate whether or not there was a measurable impact on student success for taking AP classes in high school. We sort of all assumed, well, APs are good and more must be better. But what Chris found in really groundbreaking research is that there's a limit to the impact of AP courses, that having some is a good thing. They're good predictors of performance at first year in college. But after you've taken 5 of them, the 6th one doesn't really matter. The 7th one doesn't really matter. There's no evidence to suggest that students who took 10 AP classes as high school students perform any better their first year here than students who took 5 AP courses. This has changed the way our admissions office reviews files, which is great, but this research has also been presented publicly, and so other admissions offices around the country can use this if they want to. And I think, more importantly, hopefully this makes its way down to high schools, where high schools can think more effectively about the best way to prepare and advise their students for success in college. I've also highlighted excuse me, another service we provide, a little unrelated to this. We're an official repository for the state of North Carolina vital statistics, and Chris helps consult on that. So we've been doing this for, well, we globally have been doing this for 90 years. I look remarkably well, I think. I've been doing it for 4. What are we going to do for the next 90 years? The Odum Institute has been an active partner with Judith and some others on campus in thinking about how to push forward data science on campus. We're in a big data revolution. We see it in the papers all the time. Something must be happening. It makes it to the front page. And so we're part of those conversations in a couple of ways. First, we're part of a group that's pushing for an aspirational goal that every student, graduate and undergraduate student at UNC, before they leave here, would be considered data literate. We've tossed around notions like the Data University or Data UNC. It's not a very good logo yet, but we're working on it. That this should be part of Carolina in the 21st century. It's important for the Odum Institute, in my view, to be in the middle of this mess because the big data revolution is revolutionary because it's data about people. Right? We've had big data about lots of other things for a long time, but what makes it impactful is that it's data about people. It's health records, it's consumer behavior, it's those kinds of things. It's security, it's our cell phone usage that really has people excited and also nervous. So we should be part of that. I've listed several projects up there that are related to this. I don't have time to go through all of those. If anybody wants to ask about them, you certainly can. But an emerging guiding principle for this work in the conversations that we're trying to be a leader of is to think at Carolina. What can make Carolina's data science initiatives innovative and different from what is happening at other campuses is to think about data for the public good. Now, there's nothing wrong with mining data about people in order to give maybe better advice on what movie you might want to watch on Netflix or what pop-up ad may be best to show when you're surfing the web. But we would like to shoot higher. We think that thinking about leveraging data to do more than just better pop-up ads, but to really have positive impacts on the public life is something that a world-class public university might want to aspire to. How are we going to do this? For us, it's about leveraging technology. A key component is about leveraging technology with the experts we have. One of those efforts is to develop what we're calling the Virtual Institute for Social Research, or VISR, which is really meant to be a technological platform that connects data collection to data analysis to data archiving and sharing, all in a single, safe, secure platform. We also want to leverage those kinds of new technologies, multimedia technologies, to help researchers have a broader impact for their research on both the scientific community and the broader public, as well as to push our education and training capacities and skills out to broader audiences. So this is what we're planning to do. It's been a great pleasure to be the director of the Odum Institute for the last 4 years. These last 3 quotes on the last slide are meant to show that we have a significant impact here on campus, at least so says the Dean of School of Public Health, that we're a significant partner in the Triangle writ large, and that we've developed a national and international reputation for excellence in what we do. As living, breathing proof that we've done this at least once, I've invited Elizabeth Menenga, a graduate student with us here at UNC, to come and talk a little bit about her experience with the Odum Institute.
Thank you for having us come. I'm good to talk about these experiences. So I'm a final year graduate student in the political science department. I'm finishing my PhD this semester, which will actually be my 3rd diploma from Carolina. So I've been here for a little while. My research focuses on the use of mediators in civil wars to negotiate ceasefires and peace agreements, trying to understand when mediation helps to resolve these conflicts and when it can actually make things worse. This raises important data and statistical problems and issues as well. And so while I am substantively interested in these conflicts, I also study new methodologies and tools for doing this kind of research in the social sciences. I recently accepted a job at the University of Iowa as an assistant professor of political methodology, and I'm starting a career in which I will teach statistical methods to students at the undergraduate and graduate level, advise PhD and master's students as well as honors theses, and build relationships with other faculty, helping them advance their research, as I'm sure they'll help me advance mine. The Odum Institute has been critical in preparing me for this career. My first interaction with the Odum Institute was in my first semester of graduate school. I was taking the statistics sequence in the political science department, and I needed to learn how to use Stata, a statistical software. The Odum Institute's short courses taught me not only the basics of how to use Stata, but also gave me the tools necessary to be able to work with and learn Stata on my own going forward, so that I could continue to use that over the last 5 years of my education. The following semester, I was doing more advanced statistics that actually required more advanced software, statistical tools that Stata couldn't handle. And so my first stop, once again, in learning R was to go to the Odum Institute's short courses, once again proving invaluable to helping me learn these tools. A few years later, I had the opportunity to actually join the Odum staff as a statistical lab consultant. At Odum, I've taught short courses to students and faculty on statistical software, as well as new statistical methods. Predominantly, though, my job has been advising students and professors on the research design and analysis in their undergraduate honors theses, master's theses, dissertations, or articles that they're preparing for publication. I've worked with students and faculty from all kinds of different academic departments, including medicine, education, economics, public health, and many, many others. This range of academic disciplines has broadened both my exposure to different methodological challenges, different methodological tools, and different solutions to these challenges that many of us face in trying to do excellent research. It's made me a more flexible thinker, a better problem solver, and in particular, better at anticipating potential problems early on in the research project, where it's still possible to maybe identify solutions that will make the project easier and smoother, both in the beginning phases, but also in the end. Not only have I gotten to help others with their research in doing this, but I know that my research has gotten better as a result. It's more rigorous, more thorough, more conscious about being transparent and open and looking forward to the problems that I might face to solve them early. My work at the Odum Institute was of great interest to the faculty at Iowa when they interviewed me. In the fall, this coming semester, as first semester as a professor, I will be teaching 2 graduate seminars on statistical methods to the social science students there. I'm very nervous, but I also know that I'm very well prepared because of my experience getting to work with students and faculty at the Odum Institute. I'll be advising MA and PhD students as they design and execute their research projects. Once again, work that I'm prepared for by getting to be part of the Odum Institute here at UNC. And so I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had to learn and work with the Odum Institute, and I'm excited to take the lessons that I've learned there and be able to use them moving forward in my career. So thank you, and I'm sure we'd both be very happy to answer any questions you might have.
Sure. So that's a co-authored book on Monte Carlo simulation and resampling, written with a graduate student who's now an assistant professor at Colorado. It doesn't involve going to Monte Carlo at all, which is really depressing. Really. Yeah. It's about turning your computer into a laboratory so you can let it rerun experiments over and over again to see if a particular statistical method is actually doing what it says it's doing. And so we use it, Jeff and I wrote that book because we believe in teaching through simulation because it allows students to actively engage in the mathematical principles that are foundational to statistical property estimation. But if you don't get the math intuitively, right, if you don't read math the same way normal people read words, then the equations aren't helpful. But the simulations let you practice and play with and understand how a statistical method works.
So I don't have an off the top of my head example, but the concern that many of us who study this kind of conflict resolution have, and it's hard to measure, this is part of why I don't have a good example, is that if you can get a ceasefire on paper and everybody signs off on it, and really the disputants aren't signing that sincerely, then it could provide just opportunities to kind of regroup and then refight. So the concern is, and we're still working on how to measure this well, is that if you negotiate too early, if you preempt when the disputants are really ready for it, then are you really just encouraging them to go back at it, maybe with harder force afterwards? Would waiting a little longer to try to push for that negotiation help actually resolve instead of just temporarily pause but then re-inflame?
Let's go around the table. That's a good question. I mean, I think we're busy folks, and we like doing that. I think we try to line up projects as they come in, focus on the deadlines that they face for external funding requirements or things like this, deliverables that they've promised in their grants. I also think we're particularly interested in helping people deal with sensitive data. Private data that can't be revealed is an increasing challenge for researchers, and so we want to emphasize that. I will say, though, that I don't really think we stop to think about, well, what's the dollar figure behind the project, right? If a $10 million project and a graduate student walk in the door, it sounds like a bad joke, doesn't it? And order a beer or something. Right? We're not going to say, how much money do you bring to the table? That makes you more important, right? We're deeply committed to helping students, deeply committed to helping assistant professors who aren't connected to a big center or a big project, who don't have the resources to do these things other ways. Technologically, we've Barbara's helped us buy a whole bunch of new servers, and so that kind of those kinds of issues aren't there. Our biggest capacity issue is in the staff time, computer programmer time in particular, in to develop these tools, advance these tools, service the needs of people on campus. The needs vastly outstrip the capacity to meet everybody right away. If you've got ideas about that, I would love to hear them.
Would you mind if I?
Please.
So on the consulting side, which is, I don't work with all the data stuff, but we also have multiple access points for students and faculty who need help. So Chris Wyson, who you saw a photo of earlier, he makes appointments for people who have long-term, maybe major problems in their research that need continued assistance. Whereas what I do is I sit behind a desk and I have walk-in hours that students can just come by with problems or faculty can come by with problems. So if they have something that's maybe more I don't want to say simple because many of the problems are very involved, but maybe more of a one problem that needs to be resolved and then they can move on. Then they can come talk to me instead of having to make an appointment to come talk with one of the full-time staff. So there's also multiple points of entry for people as they have problems or things that we can help with.
And when Elizabeth says her, there's about 8 of her that staff, graduate students that staff that desk. We have another 5 or 6 graduate students funded on grant projects working for us as well. Yes? Outstanding. That's right. That's right. So this is why we're part of the conversations on campus about data science more generally, because I believe, and the Odum Institute staff, they haven't told me otherwise, believe that you're exactly right, that these are not just skills for academic researchers. These are fundamental skills. This is how to be a good citizen, let alone a good employee, right? We're in a data-intensive world, and if you want to survive and understand and thrive in this world, you need these skills to process this kind of information, evaluate it critically. We also need people to think about the privacy issues, the ethical issues, all of those kinds of challenges. And social scientists are well situated to contribute to that conversation. We're not a degree-granting unit. I don't have majors and minors, and I don't have aspirations for that. But I think what we're doing in the short courses and workshops that we provide that are open to everyone, we see people from all over campus. 40% or more of the people who take our short courses are not in the College of Arts and Sciences. They're coming from public health. They're coming from the School of Nursing. They're coming from the business school because they know they need these skills. We think of if you know, sort of traditional semester-long courses are the bricks of someone's educational trajectory moving forward, that these kind of short courses, workshops, this sort of modular, flexible kind of training that we can provide on the fly almost is the mortar that might hold those bricks together, build a better foundation. And so that's what we're trying to do. That's how we're trying to contribute, that flexible, innovative, adaptive strategy. If someone walks into my office today and says, I need training in some methodology, I will say, well, if you think maybe 5 or 10 people will come to the workshop, we'll spin up the workshop. Right? We're ready to try it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we'll try something else. But we need to be adaptable that way. Yeah, so we've done a number of small grant contract kinds of projects with various state and local agencies. Right now, for example, Teresa Edwards and Chris Wiesen are working with Orange County Waste Disposal. They're trying to do a study of recycling behavior in Orange County, and they thought it might be good to do that in a sort of a systematic way to understand their project. So we're doing that right now. We're in conversations with the Department of Commerce to help provide an interactive website so anybody, but really targeting young people, could log into this website and say, I would like to have this kind of house, I'd like to live in this county, I want this sort of lifestyle, what sort of careers pay the kind of wages that I need to have the kind of lifestyle that I want as I think about where to go to college or what to do. Several states have websites like this up. We're trying to help with that as well. I think more generally, we've got a number of projects with private companies, our partnership with RTI, our partnership with Research Talking. We're doing a contract with Sage Publications, a publishing company, to develop materials for them and also to link publishing professional articles with the publication of the data that goes with them. Sage isn't headquartered locally, but there are lots of other kinds of organizations that are. So we think, and we're, the National Consortium for Data Science is a public-private partnership. Several corporate members are members of that, and we're right in the middle of that as well. Again, trying to provide services, innovation that companies in the Triangle in particular would find useful for them. I went and gave a data science talk at Cisco Systems last semester to 4 people in the room and 72 of them online. The new way of doing things, I guess. So we're trying very hard to reach out and meet needs in exactly the areas that you're concerned about. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like everything, it's a resource issue, right? State and local government agencies aren't just swimming in cash to go hire help as well. But we try to stretch ourselves as much as we can.
This has really been fun. I've really enjoyed this presentation. I was going to say, before I came to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I had known about the Odum Institute for a long time. So I just do want to reinforce it is widely known. And I thought I'd just throw in another piece of insight about why it's so important. I bet if we were to look at the great research universities, if they did not have a center for promoting the learning about statistics and analysis, they would not have research grants. I was going to say that I think the single biggest reason people's grants get rejected is because their analytical methods are not modern or up to date. And there is nothing harder than for a graduate student or a starting faculty to try to think that through on their own. So I do believe that the long history of this institute has a bigger indirect effect on why everybody's been at the cutting edge. And so when we talk about our $800 million worth of research grants, those do really build because people have a place to get not only the assistance to get started, but to do these advanced statistical analyses. So I just want to say that and say I'm very excited when you talk about trying to find a way to make this the data university, or that we take on the mantle of making sure that all our graduates can go out and really feel like they could be value added whatever place they went, because they had that beginning or pretty good sophisticated understanding how to go forward. So can you take just a minute and tell us a little bit about what it would actually take to do that? Because I think that would also answer questions about how they bring value to the state and to the businesses they join. How could we do that?
So I'll set aside the obvious question of resourcing.
Skip that for now.
Yeah, that's no fun. You don't want to hear that. I think there's a collective energy on campus to do this kind of work, and a subgroup of us actively working with a committee that Judith organized last year, a subgroup of us that involves also the Renaissance Computing Institute, Stan Ahalt, Computer Science Department in particular, developing grant proposals and things like this, to try to coordinate and bring together a sort of a single vision for how to begin. In my opinion, I think the most important thing for us to consider doing is beginning. I think if we sit and wait until every I is dotted and T is crossed on the vision plan for what data science will be the last university doing it, not the first university doing it. And so I think what we need to do is figure out some really good first steps and start experimenting, right? Start encouraging faculty to develop new courses or transition existing courses to make them more data intensive, to support more of the kinds of short courses and workshops out of our shop or other places on campus that can fill in the gaps. So you might not need a semester-long course on how to program in R, but it might take a week. Well, departments aren't particularly well organized to offer week-long things, but centers and institutes are flexible and adaptable in that way. So I think if we can set a first or second kind of, what's our goal to get started? What do we need? Create freshman seminars that are data intensive. We have structures on campus. We need to populate them with content and a little bit of energy to do that. So that's where I would start. Thank you.
I have one observation, and one of the real strengths of Carolina is our collaborative nature. We have a culture that's very collaborative, and that didn't happen by accident. And if you think about the Odum Institute being 90 years old, you guys have been collaborative from the get-go, and you set the standard, and you've taught our university how to be collaborative. And I think the university owes you guys a tremendous thank you, a big thank you, for leading the way on that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, and Howard Odum set the example. The guy earned 2 PhDs, for goodness sakes. He's the epitome of interdisciplinary work, right? And so it's a difficult example to follow, but an important one. Thank you.
Thank you.